Kale's on vacation, so we had to go get ourselves a very special guest for today. And you guys know that Kale is a knowledgeable person about comic books. So to match his intellect, to exceed his knowledge, we had to go outside the bounds of traditional comics to get someone who truly understands this industry in a way that most people probably don't. We are talking about the head of comics at Kickstarter, head of comics, Mr. Bryce Gold. Thank you so much for joining
Hey
us.
guys. Oh, it is a pleasure to be with you. How are you guys doing today?
Phenomenal. Happy to have you.
Yeah, pleasure.
Kickstarter, head of comics at Kickstarter, and head of content at Comixology Originals. So
Guilty as charged.
the Scott Tober stuff we saw, the all that awesome stuff, that's a part of what you oversaw.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, that is all things that I've worked through, things that I've survived, things that we've got to experience together. So, yeah, lots of fun.
I'm excited to dive into all of that. And I'm excited to ask you the ways in which you think that Kickstarter has changed the landscape of comics itself. I think there's a big conversation to be had about Kickstarter. Can't wait to get into it really quick before we kick things off. Hello, live chat. Welcome to the show. If you guys have questions for Bryce, we will get to them a little bit later on. So super chats are open, channel memberships are open. You guys get to the front of the line, but we will get to your questions a little bit later. Of course, if you want to support us, the best way to do that is patreon.com/thecomicspals, where we are always giving you bang for your buck. You get a nickname and a shout out on the show. So I want to very quickly say a special shout out to the best pals of the universe: Thunderstruck Rebecca Alejandro, the Hound of Justice Atomic Hound, and Starcroft Catherine Stars. With a very special thanks to the Night Stalker, Harris Dajinski, Brian Demolisher Del Pozo, Kefis the Incorruptible, Momentum Mike Elliott, Dan the Truth Trudeau, Joel Justice, Jalen the Sanguine Sorcerer, Marvelous Mike and Mackenzie, Marley Manastorm, Slow Flow Dameron, and Amen Almighty Perez. Y'all are fantastic. Thank you so much. Watch this show live every Saturday at 10:15 a.m. Eastern and Pals Pulls on Thursdays at 6 p.m. Eastern. Everything else at the Comics Pals. Okay. Enough shilling. Thank you so much.
Plugs out.
Plugs out. So, Bryce, focus is on you now. What are your day-to-day responsibilities as the head of comics? So that sounds like a huge job. Can you break that down?
Of course, yeah. It is a pretty big job. There's a lot of comics that come in week over week. I'd say we look at around 200 projects a week. A lot of my job is figuring out what is coming down the pipeline, when people are thinking about launching, what exciting projects are on the forefront, what we can do to help promote those and get eyeballs on the projects and get people excited about what's coming out in the world. My role is a bit curatorial. So looking through what is coming down the pipeline and making sure that we're highlighting our projects that we love with our editorial teams, making sure that folks can see those. Those are projects that are generally going to be surfaced to the top of our search results. They're usually the most exciting projects, the most groundbreaking, the most never before seen kind of projects that are coming through Kickstarter, things that are really going to get the comics community excited. And really endeared to the things that we are putting out. Another part of my job is curating our newsletters. So we have a number of different newsletters. We have a new and trending newsletter. We have a specific reads newsletter that's for all comics and publishing projects, things like that. Figuring out ways that we can kind of entice our audience, our backers, to kind of see what is out there and see what's new. We have a really strong community of folks that are looking every single day at comic book projects and finding new things to back. At Kickstarter, we talk about the green piece of the pie when we're thinking about what all of the different backers are coming from. Are they coming from Instagram? Are they coming from local searches? Are they coming from Twitter or X or elsewhere on the internet? What is driving the traffic for support? And we find that over 50% of that backing comes from folks that are already within Kickstarter and finding projects from within Kickstarter. So with that caveat, a lot of great work comes from highlighting really great projects, picking out projects of the day, and putting those projects in front of folks in various channels. In addition to having the creators themselves promote the works in their own channels and to their own backers. So a lot of curation, a lot of figuring out ways that we can continue kind of pushing comics forward and finding new exciting projects to share with the world.
Can I just say that I feel like in some ways, Kickstarter does a better job of promoting and curating, a space for comics for all kinds of potential comic book readers than the rest of the industry does at this point.
I'm honored that you said that. Thank you very much. Yeah, I think that the exciting thing, and I think that Chun, you were getting at it a little bit earlier, is that Kickstarter has really changed over the last 5 years in a way that is really exciting. I think that 5 years ago, it was a lot of independent projects, folks that were finding new pathways to success that didn't exist prior to finding ways to crowdfund their work. And I think that now we're really seeing a mix of sort of our tried and true independent creators, but also folks that are really taking a new step. It could be, folks that found mainstream success that are now doing a creator-owned work that they're doing themselves and want to crowdfund. It could be publishers actually coming to the platform and finding new exciting ways of funding very specific projects that they couldn't justify mass producing and sending to comic book stores. I mean, you think about Boom Studios with Berserker, or even with Power Rangers, and the exciting things that they have found, new ways to connect directly to the consumer and find ways of really delivering something that you wouldn't make or wouldn't be able to justify making 1 million of and trying to send and sell via direct markets or book markets, things like that. This is a really exciting way of directly connecting with their fans, directly connecting with their audience, and finding really cool, new, groundbreaking, risky ideas that they can test out via crowdfunding. And if they're supported, they'll bring them to life. So I think it really opens up a lot of doorways for everybody to really find a new way of being in the driver's seat, being in control of what you want to make, and making it happen, and making it happen for your fans and for your audience and for you. So there really is. I like to say that the sky is the limit for ideas on Kickstarter, but it really is up to you to kind of figure out, like, what do you want to make, and if you want to make it or it's swimming around in your head, like, let's make it happen.
You went right into a controversial topic, which is mid-tier publishers or creators that have a name for themselves already, who are using Kickstarter to, directly reach their core audience with something, like you said, that they otherwise just wouldn't be able to make, or,
Totally.
different things like that. That's something that upsets a lot of people. And I love that you made the distinction between sort of older Kickstarter and the philosophies of that age and the new one, because there is a distinction, right? So what do you say to people who are upset about the Scott Snyders of the world or the Boom Studios of the world using Kickstarter? What do you say to those people who say it takes away from other projects that actually need a boost and need your help to succeed, but they feel that Kickstarter's efforts might push forward those titles that are being put out by bigger publishers or creators?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, in my opinion, it has only been a boon to projects. It, by having these big names, by having these bigger creators, it actually brings more eyes onto the site and allows for us to continue promoting other works that these folks that are new to Kickstarter would never otherwise see. You look at our biggest project of the year, actually of all time, Good Omens. It brought in 34% new Kickstarter users just from that project that had never backed anything on Kickstarter before. Those folks are then going on to backing other projects constantly. It's a mentality of rising tide. Like, really bringing in more eyeballs actually helps everybody, in my opinion. And it doesn't preclude any other promotion or support for other projects at all. In fact, I think that because we have these bigger names, my role is really to help figure out how we can continue to support the folks that don't have that backing, that are independent and are making this themselves. Like that to me is the focus of the work at Kickstarter. It's who we are as independent creators. It's what we want to focus on. And by having these larger projects, you know, it doesn't stop folks from backing that and then also backing the little indie zine that they had maybe never seen before but thinks is awesome and is featured on the site when the other project is also going live. I think that what we look at is sort of looking at all of our projects we love as a whole, because all of them are given the same amount of treatment, the same amount of attention, the same amount of support as every other project. There's no hierarchy of saying this project's more worth pushing than this one. Like, you know, at the end of the day, Kickstarter really does want to support everybody. Our goal is to bring projects to life. And in my opinion, you know, my experience, I come from certainly a major comics background, but also an independent comics background. Something we haven't talked about yet is you know, my own experience as an indie publisher. I ran a micro press starting in 2015 out of Brooklyn. Comics, indie comics, zines, that is my jam. That is where my heart lies. That is what my love, my joie de vivre in comics is. So, you know, in my opinion, there's no reason why we shouldn't be promoting both and supporting both. And if the big name brings folks into the ecosystem of seeing Kickstarter and seeing what we can create, maybe it will inspire them to make a project themselves. And I hope that it will also inspire them to check out the other exciting projects that we have going on, because there is, in my opinion, a comic for everybody on Kickstarter. It's just a matter of seeing it and getting the eyeballs on it and knowing what's out there.
And to
Phenomenal
that point,
answer.
and I mean to that point as well, like if you have, let's say, that 34% boost, right, and 50% stay within that within the ecosystem itself, you're ideally getting what, 17% of people sticky, ideally, to stick around, to hang out,
Completely.
discover, and just grow the base from therein.
Yeah, completely.
And I'm looking at the Kickstarter Discover page for comics right now, and there's about 12 projects we love there, and one of them is the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers one, but 11 of them aren't. You know, 11 of them aren't. You know, dealing with, you know, Boom Studios or those mid-tier you know, comics publishers. So they are sharing the screen with Power Rangers, which is kind of nuts, especially if you're a new creator or something. You know. That's like an shelf that you are right next to them on. So yeah,
Exactly. Yeah. No, I think Tyler, you hit the nail right on the head. Where maybe this is a big project that's happening right now for the next 30 days, but if you're launching at the same time, you are right next to it, and there's nothing stopping you from also getting the support from the community, getting the support from your backers, getting the support from your fans, and finding new folks to come and support you as a creator as well.
Well, you made the point, Bryce, and I don't want this to get lost, that you are also a creator, Pyrite Press, right?
Yeah.
And
that's
so
me.
you are like the head of comics at Kickstarter is not some, you know, not that you don't wear suits, but it's not some suit who doesn't get it, doesn't understand it, doesn't come from that place. You come from that place. You clearly have a passion for comics, and you've been in the trenches for a long time. So I want to make it clear that this is not a person whose agenda is, let's make sure that everybody knows about the new Boom book because, you know, Boom is big, you know, and screw whoever else. There's a person who's saying, hey, you know, I love comics, so let's put the biggest spotlight we can on comics. And I think that that's what we need at Kickstarter.
Thank you. Yeah, you know, it is it's hard work, but it's honest work.
So Bryce, I actually have a question. Looking at the Discover page with the project we love,
Yeah.
how do those come about? Like, is there direct communication with those creators for those projects?
Generally, yes. Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of both. Where every day I'm looking at the category and seeing what's out there and seeing what's exciting. You know, it is not, you know, I do want to dispel the idea that it's all me saying like, yes, this is a project I love, or this is a project that we don't love. Like there's certainly other folks involved. We have an editorial team that also works on that. So while I can often suggest, and they do listen to me as an expert in the field, that these are projects that we would want to include, it is not a monolith in who is deciding what is or is not a project we love. And yeah, like you said, I think that a lot of it is curatorial, just looking through what is coming through the pipeline. But also, I look for folks to reach out to me and say, I get messages on LinkedIn, I get messages on Instagram, I get messages, to my email address saying like, hey, I have this project coming out. Like, are you able to review this or give me advice? And through that process, usually I'll be like, whoa, this looks really cool. Or you're doing something that I've never seen before. Or the art style is amazing. Or you really have a really interesting story here that is something that really epitomizes the DIY ethos of Kickstarter. That would be a project that we love, or one that I would highlight as saying like, hey, this is one that's really doing something that we've never seen before, or doing something really special, or doing something really exciting. Those are the projects that we want to highlight as saying like, this is the epitome of a Kickstarter comics project, and one that other people should see and support as well.
How do you decide what, or rather, I guess, does it come down to the content of what you're seeing, and then providing pointers to be worthy of this is going to be highlighted, or is it something that maybe mechanically the creators who are promoting the Kickstarter doing well? Like, how do you distinguish those two things?
It's a good question. I think that in general, what we're seeing, and what I think is makes a really good Kickstarter project is, yes, it has to be good content, but I think it also has a lot to do with the campaign page itself. How are you promoting yourself? What is the story that you're telling? Who are you as a creator? Why are you going the DIY route via Kickstarter to make this happen? What is the reason why people should support this project? What are you offering that's exclusive or new or never seen before, or something that is really exciting for backers and folks that are going to be supporting you to get in on the ground level for? I think that I like to describe the campaign page sort of like a press release, in the ways that you need to really tell the 5 W's. You need to tell who you are, what you're making, why you're making it, how you're going to do it, including like a breakdown on like, hey, you're giving us all this money, here's where all that money is going to go. Like, being very transparent with your backers and with your community on what you are raising this money for to make it happen. That to me it makes a good Kickstarter project. You have to be extremely transparent. You have to be very honest with your backing and your community and your backers. And I think constant communication is key. Saying like, hey, week over week, sending out an update to folks being like, hey, we've gotten to 50% funding with your help and support. We have 50% more. Please keep telling your friends, family, lovers, whoever, coworkers, anybody under the sun, saying like, hey, this is out there. You should make it happen. With your support, we can make this actually come to life. I think that beyond that, finding ways of even supporting yourself, being like, hey, we've reached 100% funding. We are so excited, but we are not slowing down. Here are really exciting ways that we're going to keep pushing this project with stretch goals, making the book more exciting, making the book, higher quality paper, a new cover edition, something that can continue to entice folks to continue supporting, and making the project maybe even bigger than you initially anticipated. I think that that's the exciting thing that creators do, is like, they are constantly thinking about ways to provide for their backers, their supporters, their community, finding new ways to continue to push their own boundaries and their own ideas to new heights, if they do reach those initial goals, and finding new ways of not slowing down. I think that's the exciting thing, that everybody that works on a Kickstarter has some sort of entrepreneurial spirit. Like, you kind of have to, when you're doing it all yourself. Like, a campaign might run, you can run them shorter, but the sweet spot that we see is like 30 days. And that is a lot of work for 30 days. You are constantly hustling, you are constantly promoting, you are constantly getting the word out there. You are constantly just kind of shouting into the internet space, saying like, hey, I've made this really cool thing, come support it, come make it happen. And you're really putting yourself out there in a way that can be it can be daunting. It can also be, very revealing. Like, you really are kind of like bearing your soul to the world and your creative process in doing a Kickstarter. So, in my opinion, I just think that it takes a lot of guts, it takes a lot of courage, it takes a lot of work to make one of these happen. And to leverage your community to ask for that support and to communicate with them really is the ultimate goal of getting the work out there. And I think it shows. Like, I think that the more that you ask and the more that you are willing to share, the more people are willing to support you, because they feel like it's real. They feel like it's you're talking to a real human being. It shows the humanity of creating a project. There's nothing, you're not being you're not beheld to any sort of like corporate structure, corporate interests. Like, you really are doing it yourself in a way that is freeing and exciting. And I constantly am saying, like, when you're doing a Kickstarter, you're in the driver's seat. There's nobody telling you what to do. You're in complete control. And I think that that's very exciting for creators who want to eschew the traditional publishing process, or are tired of that process, or want to do something that they've never done before. I think that Kickstarter is the perfect home for activities like that, or projects like that, to do something that has never been done before, or really breaks the mold for comics.
So you got into the position of head of comics. I just like saying that. In May this year. And
yes.
when you got that position, you said, quote, "As I step into this role, I'm focused on thinking outside of the box to find ways to support creator-owned projects, reshaping the dynamic between creatives and comics production, and bringing a new ethos to comics projects in all fits and fashions." How have you done that so far?
Thank you. I feel like we've done that in a variety of ways. I feel like I've spoken to a number of independent creators that have figured out new exciting ways of promoting their work. I think, as we've also seen a change in the social media landscape, we all have to adapt to find new ways of getting the work out there and getting in front of eyeballs. So I think that with this, I think everyone needs to be a little scrappy, and I think that we've found new ways of promoting. I think that we've returned to an age of email being the most important way of promoting yourself. Emails don't go away, social media sites do. Finding new ways of really connecting with your audience. And I think that we've, in certain ways, like kind of like gone back to a form of promotion that we haven't seen before, where it's like, yeah, remember the last time you started a listserv? Listservs are like huge now. Like, there's no way to not promote yourself without like having an email list and getting the word out there. But I think also with a listserv, like, there's so much more dedication to folks and to dedication to creators than there is just clicking a follow button. Like, you might have a 10% conversion off of a follow. You could get upwards to like baseball numbers where it's like 30% off of an email list, like that's a huge improvement. I think, the ways that I want to continue pushing and breaking the mold is encouraging folks to kind of like not feel downtrodden by the whims of the industry. Like, I feel like there are so many instances of things shuttering this year. Companies no longer doing original lines, finding ways that used to be a pathway for folks to get their work out there. I think that now there is an opportunity for anybody to get their work out there. You don't have to be beholden to a company. And, it is up to you and the creator to kind of figure out like, okay, what do I want to make? How do I want to make it? What do I want to do here? But, the sky's the limit as far as like how to make a comic, what to make a comic about, and ways to even get it out in the world. I think that we've seen some really, really exciting projects that have done a lot of really cool design elements. I'm a bit of a book production nerd, so anytime somebody's doing like something that I've never seen before, like that is super cool to me. But also going, true to form, I think, to various states. Like, we've had a number of risograph projects this year that really excite me, coming out from actually all over the world. We've had Strangers Publishing in the United States. There's been a really great group of folks that were from Europe that now live in Japan that have made some really cool stuff called Club Zine. Those have been really exciting to me. But even just, if you're doing a standard comics project, finding new ways of telling your story or telling new exciting visions of stories. I think we've also seen a lot of accessibility projects come through this year, where I've seen projects that have covers that are 3D printed and for those that are blind and want a tactile version of a comic. Wow. Comics that are using Braille, comics that are using audiobooks and new ways of kind of like pushing the limits of what comics are for everybody. I think that that's something that is really exciting to be done through Kickstarter, because it's something that, you know, generally folks wouldn't be able to support from a mainstream perspective. Like, or if they are able to support, we haven't seen it yet. This is something that we are seeing on Kickstarter, and it's exciting to be at the forefront of that and make those projects come to life. That's something that's not happening anywhere else, and in my opinion, that's how we break the mold, is doing something that no one else is doing.
Right, and providing a space for people who are in the trenches trying to do things that are unique and special, to say, hey, you have the chance to thrive and reach the audience that, you know, is out there for you if you put the work in. And you really, no one else, even, okay, yes, there are other crowdfunding platforms, right? But they just don't have the name or the cachet that Kickstarter has. And so sometimes, you know, I have creator friends or people that I know in the industry, and they're doing, like, I won't disparage anything else, but they're doing something else. And I'm like, you sure that shouldn't be a Kickstarter, man? You sure about that, dude? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it is not to toot our own horn, but, you know, when you think about like the Kleenex of crowdfunding, there's only one name that you could pick up. And I think that, you know, we've certainly been around the longest. I think we have the audience that really supports the books. Like I said before, like we think about the green piece of the pie when, you know, and what I'm describing there is when you create a project, we have a creator dashboard. It's you know, if you want to get really analytical about it all, it tells you where your backers are coming from, like what sites they're using. It tells you, you know, if they've used Kickstarter before or not. And when we talk about the green piece of the pie, that is the select, like I said before, just like the 50% of folks that are part of Kickstarter and part of that ecosystem, them supporting the project. So, you know, like that will, you know, like not to disparage anybody else, but if you want to make money, you come to Kickstarter. And that's because it has the community, it has the backing, it has the knowledge of you know, how to crowdfund, but also knowing that this is the place where you will come to see the really exciting projects.
So I want to throw some numbers your way, Bryce.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Okay.
So here's some numbers that I found that I find very interesting. So 78.1% of all comics projects met their funding goal. That's an insane number.
Yep.
Out of 1,666 Kickstarter comics, 1,171 projects successfully met their funding goal. That's up 13% over year. And then 22% increase in the number of dollars pledged, and 14.4 million in 2022 compared to 17.6 million in 2023. And these numbers are not from today. These are, I think, first half of the year numbers. So things are probably, things are probably better now. So what do those numbers, what do you think listeners, right, comic book creators and fans should take from those numbers?
And Sean, thank you for doing my job for me. Like those numbers are just so exciting to see. I think that when you see something that is over the average of funding constantly is awesome. Like 78%, in my opinion, is the number to pay attention to. When you have 25 or more backers, that number jumps up to around 80%. So if you are doing just a little bit of work of getting the word out there and promoting to, you know, 10 friends of yours, there is over 75% chance that you are going to be successful. And as those projects go on, like if you build up over 25 followers or backers, you will have over an 80% success rate. Wow. To me, that is the number that it's just like, okay, if I'm waffling on what I should be doing, that should be extremely encouraging to me as a creator to be like, oh, let me give this a shot. I think that, you know, it is a daunting process to put one together. There's also such a fear of, well, what if I don't reach my funding goal? What will happen? Did I just waste like 30 days of my life? Like, I want those numbers to encourage folks to be like, look, like, yes, it's daunting. Yes, it's a lot of work, but there's such a good chance that you will be successful here and you can make your project happen. Like, do not let those fears hold you back. And looking at our numbers actually for the remainder of the year, I think last year there was $32 million pledged for comics in all of 2022. This year we are at 38 million and counting. This is the best year for comics ever on Kickstarter. Halfway through the year, I think we were at 17.8. We're now at 38. So it has been an amazing year so far. We still have another month, so we'll see what happens by the end of the year. But it really is, it's outstanding. Like, those are huge numbers. That is a lot of money. Not that it's all, Kickstarter's never been all about the money. We're a public benefit corporation. It's something that, our focus is always on, let's see how we can make creators be successful. But the numbers don't lie. Like, that is a huge amount of money raised for all comics projects. Year over year, we continuously do better and better than the previous year. And, I think that is so, we owe a lot to our creators that have really dedicated their time, their energy, and their support to putting their work out there and really going out on a limb to say, like, hey, come support my project here on Kickstarter. So, big shout out to the creators, big shout out to the backers. I really think that if you're a creator that hasn't made a project before, is nervous of whether or not it will succeed, like, look at that 78% number and give it a try. Talk to me also if you have questions, because I'm always down to chat with folks about what they have planned. But yeah, beyond that, I really think that creators should see this as an exciting opportunity and not a daunting challenge ahead of them, to really make what they want to make and bring it into the world.
Yeah, 1 out of every 5 is going to get, or more than that, it seems from the numbers. Yeah, 4 out of 5 are going to get funded. So you're a high chance of having that opportunity.
Yeah, completely.
Where do you see so one of the things we talk about a lot here is the comic book industry. Big words. But comic book shops are having, I guess, troubles with some of the bigger publishers, with Marvel and DC maybe not marketing things correctly. Where do you think Kickstarter can fill in terms of supporting comic book shops for the comic book industry as a whole?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. My advice to creators is to always add a retailer tier. Add an option where retailers can come and support the Kickstarter project directly. Alternatively, depending on the project, these are projects that will eventually go to the direct market. I don't think that anyone wants to step on anybody's toes in this industry, generally. I think we are all in this together. And if, in my opinion, if the retail shops are suffering, then we are all suffering, because how else are you going to be getting print work out to your fans, to your community? In my opinion, we all need to be working together. So creators, add a retailer tier, make sure that you're supporting your retailers, get the word out there, contact retailers directly and be like, hey, I'm making this really cool project. It's already funded. It's at 300% funding. It's, blah, blah, blah. Like, here's all the exciting things about it. If you want to support this book or carry it in your store, I'm offering a wholesale retailer tier where you can buy directly from me. Here's your opportunity to pick some copies up. Alternatively, I think, for creators themselves, this offers a direct to consumer option where you do not need to rely on retailers in order to get work out there. That being said, like I just said, like, in my opinion, the right thing to do is to support everybody, offer everybody an option, because at the end of the day, what you want is for your audience, for your fans, to be able to read your book however they want to read it. If that's digitally, great. If that's directly from you, great. If it's them going to their local comic shop, you want to be able to offer your product, your book, to those same buyers, those same fans. Like, you want to be able to get the work out there. So in my opinion, we all need to work together. And I think creators need to be savvy about ways that they can also entice retailers to pay attention to their work. I think a lot of the times, generally we've seen that reviewers tend to eschew Kickstarter projects. There's not a lot of like mainstream attention on Kickstarter projects in that way, where the major outlets are not really covering these in the same ways that they would from a traditional outlet. But in my opinion, all the more reason why you kind of, as a creator, need to kind of step up and be the person you want to be, get the word out there yourself, and really promote the work to retailers yourself. Like, I've said it before, but Kickstarter is a DIY platform. You as a DIY creator have big shoes to fill to get the word out there and to get the attention from everybody in the community, whether it be from the retailers to the backers to people online that are just thinking about what new exciting comic is out there. It is a lot of work, but at the end of the day, I think that there's nothing stopping a Kickstarter creator from going to a retailer and offering them options to kind of get them in on the ground floor as well.
I checked out the Sean Murphy Zorro Kickstarter page, and there's a big button, I guess where the backing button used to be, to support your local comic shop. And then it brings up comic shop locator. And then I checked Marvel's website, and it might as well be the unsubscribe button for an email list. It is the tiniest looking little link at the bottom of the article you have to search for. So just from like a website standpoint, you can already see like it's a little more amicable to the retailer as well.
Yeah.
How do you
and that also, oh, sorry, Marco, go ahead.
No, please go ahead.
I was going to say, that is also, I think, very much a boon to the creators themselves. They know that they want their backers to go to their local comic book shop and support the industry in general. Like Massive Publishing, the publisher behind that Zorro book, like that was their decision to direct folks to their local comic shop, and kudos to them for that. Like I really feel like more publishers, more creators should be doing that to help, I think, boost the industry in general.
One of the other things we talk about a lot on the show is just the cost of comics. Your typical floppy is going up from it's at $3.99 now. $4.99 looks to be the standard. Compared to other offerings, stuff like Kickstarter provides that much more value. Do you foresee at all a point where or ways to capture or plans to try to capture people who are weekly comics readers, who are slightly different audience, to come over and say, hey, actually, you guys can keep paying those that amount for your 22 pages, or come over this way where there's such an opportunity to discover comics, to engage in comics in a different way, and you're getting more than your bang for your buck?
It's a good question. I think that in general, I find that there's a different buyer there, where the folks that are going to their local comic shop week over week, looking for the new floppy, looking for the new release, like they want something immediately. Kickstarter, I think, does not really offer that. It's you're supporting now, and then in 3 months, 5 months, maybe even a year, you will see a return on that investment. Kickstarter is not a store. We are simply a platform that allows these creators to make their work. So while the things that we can do, I think, and the things that I want to do are connecting folks with the resources that they need in order to make the best product available, whether that be connecting them with great printers that I know of. And this also, speaking for myself, like my experience printing and doing that independent comics work comes in huge in that regard, where I'm like, yeah, I know what I'm talking about. I've done this myself. Like certainly things have changed over the last 7 years as paper prices have soared, and unfortunately the pandemic has really taken a toll, I think, on a lot of the production process of creating comics. But that doesn't mean that this doesn't still exist. That it isn't an option, that there aren't really great printers around the world that you could speak to. In my opinion, it's finding and connecting folks with the best options for what their project is in order to allow them to kind of like find the right price point. That being said, I also think that, as independent creators, I don't think that you can compete with a Marvel or a DC or an Image on price per unit, things like that. Like, you are an independent creator, your P&L is going to be vastly different than an Image series or than something else. Like, certainly I think that you should be thinking in the same scale and thinking about getting your book out everywhere, but I don't think that you can behold yourself to the same standard as a major corporation in creating comics. Like, you are just one person. simply are making the work that you want to make, that people want to see. And I don't think that you should. I think that, in my opinion, the same way that I think about independent comics, like, you should think about yourself in your own lane. You should not think about what other people are doing. You should think about what it makes the most business sense for you and your project. How does your P&L look? Because ultimately that should determine your price. You should not think about it in a way of like market value of what a standard comic should be priced at. That being said, like, think about it also in scale. Like, think about, like, okay, if my price point is really, really high for this unit, like, what if I just doubled my print run and suddenly my price per unit is lower? You know, certainly I have to be out there hustling a little bit more, but, you know, I think that also offers you a really exciting opportunity, that your project will have legs beyond just, oh, everyone that ordered, you know, I had 300 orders for this project. I'm going to print 600. That gives me 300 that I can sell at conventions, things like that down the line. Like, you might have an opportunity then to kind of just like use this Kickstarter not only to fulfill the orders that you were getting through the campaign itself, but also you know, have legroom to kind of continue to push the book after the fact.
And I like how you made the distinction of you guys stay in your lanes with respect to, and the way I take that is there is room for comics, right? You have your corporate comics, you have your Kickstarter comics, you have your webtoons. Everybody is operating, and it's not an either or in those scenarios. It is all additive to the comics community, into the medium at large.
Completely. There's room for everybody.
Are there examples of books that you thought, man, this is gonna hit, and it just sort of didn't? Or books where you were like, projects where you maybe weren't as hot on or wasn't on your radar, and then it just surprised you and swept you off your feet? Do you have examples? Not that you would name names or anything, but can you think of projects like that?
I can, and I don't want to name names, but there are, you know, I think that when a project doesn't hit the way that you expect it to, I think that you need to analyze a few things. I think that oftentimes it's a matter of like, well, when did you launch the project? If you're launching at, so for instance, we had an extremely busy October this year. You can imagine why. I think everyone wants to launch around New York Comic Con, and when there is that much competition for space within the website, you know, like, there's only so many projects I can feature at one time. It makes it complicated, and you have to make some tough choices. I think that ultimately, I think also you really need to think about the ways that you are promoting the project itself. So I don't love personally to encourage folks that they need to make a video. I think that, you know, project videos, for those that are unfamiliar, at the very top of a Kickstarter project, you usually have a video section. And that's a really great place for people to be like, hey, here's my project, here's some sample art from it. If you have video editing magic, you can flex there. But you know, that takes time, energy, money, and also experience that I think is unnecessary for the creation of a book. That being said, I do think that it does provide like a very TLDR, like, you get a 1 minute, 2 minute video. Somebody might watch that and not read the rest of your, you know, huge, massively considered like explanation of the entire book. I think that, you know, while I don't want to encourage people to spend a lot of time and energy on something that they are not comfortable doing, it does ultimately help promote your work and get the word out there, and provide like a very human experience for people to kind of like attach themselves to. I think also in general, like, depending on the project, like, I think that you as a creator need to set your expectations accurately. So that could be in setting your goal amount. Like, oftentimes I'll see projects that are like, I set a goal amount of $300,000, and I'm like, what do you need $300,000 to make a comic for? Ultimately, like what is the point of this? Like, is it, like, in my opinion, that means that you have not considered like what, in my opinion, should be like your base level of what a reward should be. Like, when I'm chatting with folks being like, oh, I don't know what to do with my project, like, I'm always like, think about what the minimum amount of money would be to make a print run for this. And it needs to be a print run that has no bells and whistles. This means like no spot gloss on the covers, like very standard. Like think about like all like just like what is the base level to make this, and then from there, once you achieve that goal, then you can start thinking about the fun stuff. So then you can think about stretch goals. You know, thinking about like let's say we're asking for $10,000. If we get $13,000, then we can add spot gloss to the cover, or we can have a holographic print, or we can have a variant cover for this issue. Start thinking about things that way. Don't go into this with like, well, I've already sunk so much money into it and time and energy. Like, yes, I think you need to be very accurate with, you know, back to the conversation about P&L. Think about what it is going to cost for the production of this. You know, pay your artists well, pay your writers well, pay everybody out in the ways that is not exploitative and is undercutting anybody. But from there, think about what else it's going to take to make this book. And from there, you can think about ways that you can make it more exciting. I think people often set their goals a little too high. And that means that, you know, as you're going through the campaign, you're 2.5 weeks in, you've made it 73% of the way there, but people are reticent to support because it's like, oh, I don't know if this is going to happen. You know, maybe in the last 3 days, they'll be like, well, I want to make it happen, so donate. But I've seen that folks will be more excited about something that they know is a sure deal, like knowing that it's already reached their funding goal and that it will be made, will continue to support a project to bring it to the next level, rather than somebody that's like kind of hovering around like most of the way there but hasn't quite made it. Those I think tend to be more nail biters down to the last minute for the project itself. I think in general, yeah. Beyond that, you know, I think finding ways of finding ways of promoting before the project is live is a really exciting way to continue to kind of build up that equity, build up that excitement in the community. Kickstarter allows for pre-launch pages now, which you can have up. You know, we've seen, for instance, Sean Gordon Murphy's book. That pre-launch page I think launched in July, and the campaign didn't start until October. So that gives you 2-ish months of, you know, promoting the work, getting the word out there, getting people to follow the campaign page, so that when it does go live, there's a lot of people that already know that this is in the works. They're just waiting for that shoe to drop for the campaign to go out there. I think, you know, Sean Gordon Murphy's book, I think in the first 40 minutes it got funded, and it was just, you know, gangbusters from there. So things like that are always super, super exciting. And I think that, you know, there's some really, really entrepreneurial creators that just knock it out of the park every single time. I got to give a shout out to Brian Polito with Coffin Comics. Like, I can't name a campaign of his that has done less than 6 figures. Like, it is unbelievable. And he launches a campaign like every 2 months. Like, he knows what he is doing. You might not love the content itself, but he is certainly somebody that like knows what's up. Lady Death is his character, that he has a whole universe of. But he is really somebody that knows what is up with crowdfunding and getting the word out there and getting people excited about what he's doing.
That's incredible. And yeah, really shout out to the grinders. I mean, we know so many creators who, you know, really live this life. You know, they're really on Kickstarter with every project. And, you know, we see the success. Victor Dandridge, Dirk Manning. These are people that are, you know, using the platform to reach people that they just don't have access to. You know, creators who are road warriors that go to conventions, right, every week, and they say, hey, you know, this is the new comic I have, right? But I've got this Kickstarter project coming up. You can sign up here. You know, I've seen this grind. And it really is incredible to watch. So shout out to all the creators who, you know, really bust their ass on the platform. My last question for you, and then we're going to let the listeners have their word before we close out, is what do you think Kickstarter can do? What do you think, as the head of comics, you can do going into the next year to help the smaller creators who are trying to make a name for themselves on the platform even further? Are there optimizations on your side of things? Are there things you've learned that can take Kickstarter to even the next level next year?
That is a great question, Sean. I am fighting for changes all the time. Finding ways that we can, you know, find new avenues to support creators. I think that if there's ways that we can increase the number of increase the number of slots that we can include in our newsletters, like really leveraging those tools. Like we have audiences of, you know, some newsletters have an audience of 1.6 million, some of them have an audience of 6 million people. Like, if, you know, that being said, like the problem that, or an issue that we encounter, a challenge maybe is a better way of putting it, is that, you know, comics is competing with every other vertical on Kickstarter right now. We have design and tech, we have music, we have you know, fine art, we have you know, games, and all of these projects are coming out all at the same time. So I can't, unfortunately, because of that, like there's only so much space for everybody. I think that the ways that we can continue to kind of push that is like finding new avenues or new ways of including projects in newsletters, or finding maybe niche newsletters that reach the audience that will support those projects. Like for an independent creator, maybe we need an independent comics newsletter, something that's like very focused specifically on the subject matter. For backers and folks that we know has supported these kinds of projects, like finding ways that we can continue to you know, reach out to them and say like, hey, here's really new exciting things that we're doing. I think beyond that, like having opportunities to you know, utilize mentorship in the space, like have creators be able to speak with other creators that know what they're doing, in order to, you know, help them realize, you know, what they're doing right or wrong, like finding ways. And honestly, that's also something that creators can do themselves. Like I encourage everybody to back, like at least put like $1 or $2 here on a few projects at the same time, just to see how other people are doing it. Like, what are they doing on a weekly basis? What are they doing when they reach their stretch goals? How are they promoting their project internally or externally? And build up a community within Kickstarter of being like, you know, reach out to folks being like, hey, I really like your project. I was a backer. I've backed every single thing you've done. You inspired me to do a comics project myself. Here's a link. If you would take a look at it, maybe you can share it. Like, you know, I encourage folks to really leverage their community in that way, to really get the word out there. And I think, you know, connecting with other creators, connecting with other comics folks that really know what they're doing is in my opinion the way to kind of continue building. That being said, I also encourage folks to get in touch with me when they have a really cool project coming up, so that I'm aware of it and that we know that there's something cool in the works. Because if I'm not aware of it, I can only see it when it's live. And, you know, that doesn't give me a head start to let my marketing team know, like, hey, this is something really cool. It's going to launch on this date. Like, I want to be in the know as we're getting ready to launch, just so that I can give you the best support that I can. So you know, that is a little bit, you know, in most cases of the things I've said today, it's like, I'll do a lot, but you got to do something too. Like, we're both in this together. Like, it is very much like a DIY ethos behind the whole thing, but you know, I am there to help, I am there to support, and I want to make you, the creator, as successful as possible. So let's talk about it.
I love that. Tyler, do you want to hit the listener questions?
Yeah, so Tom Account said, Bryce, I love Kickstarter, but being perfectly candid, feel like I've been burned by delays. He gave Valiant as an example. How do you manage delays from creators, and do you have any recommendations other than trial and error?
It's a good question. And it's something actually that Kickstarter generally, you know, takes kind of like a backseat on, because we're not involved in the creative process or in the production process itself. You know, when you reach out to Kickstarter with those errors or issues, like, you know, our message is to reach out to those creators directly. I think that we've also seen a lot of chatter online of people being like, hey, I was burned by this project, or like, hey, this person hasn't delivered yet. Like, in my opinion, public shame does work, and hopefully you'll get an answer from them. You know, ideally, when there are delays, like, creators are supposed to update their projects and be like, hey, you know, a pallet of books fell off a boat. I can't do anything about that, but we're working as hard as we can to update you. You know, we as Kickstarter also take measures to prevent this from happening. Like, we have a trust and safety team that looks at every project, like, before it launches. Like, there are a lot of folks that review these to make sure that things like this doesn't happen, because that is not the goal. That is not what we want. And it creates a bad experience for backers and for everybody when that happens. So while I'm very sorry to hear about the issues that have happened in the past, I would encourage you to reach out directly to those creators if you haven't already. we are taking measures to prevent this from being a recurring problem with creators. Like, we have issues where if you haven't fulfilled a previous project, you can't launch a new one. We want to prevent fraud in every way, shape, and form when we're dealing with new creators that are not tried and true. I think beyond that, generally, I would say, we do have a caveat that it's like Kickstarter does not guarantee rewards here. That doesn't solve your problem. In my opinion, the best way to actually solve that problem is, reach out to folks, chat with them directly. If you can chat also with our support team, they're also happy to help with issues if you're looking for refunds and things like that, if that's available. Beyond that, I would say, leverage the community. No one likes to be publicly shamed, and hopefully with public shaming, people will actually respond to what the current status is on a project that may be delayed.
Yeah, if there's a Bleeding Cool article about you, not coming through, then it probably gets the creators to reach out.
Yeah.
So Dan in the chat also said, what factors do you think have led to comics becoming that successful compared to other sorts of projects?
It's a good question. I think that, comics makes up a really large chunk of Kickstarter's revenue. I think that games is probably our biggest. Design and tech is also one of the biggest, but comics, I think, is, third or fourth up there with the big successes. And honestly, I chalk a lot of that success up, honestly, to I think growth within the sector of people giving Kickstarter a try. I really do. In 2018, I think we raised 16 million. And then 5 years later, we're double that at 38 so far this year. Like, I really do feel like a lot of that, some of it, I think, in the pandemic years, like, I think that as folks were home and there was uncertainty, like, it gave a lot of people opportunity to kind of like leverage their creative outlets and use Kickstarter in a way that they hadn't had a chance to do before. But, we've seen continuous growth in kind of exponential ways in the last 2 or 3 years. Specifically, I think with people giving Kickstarter a shot and having more people kind of come on board and look for ways to promote their own projects. And that comes from every level. So, I do, I know that it can be a touchy subject, but I got to give it up for Boom. Like, I really think that they opened up a lot of doors for a lot more folks to like get the word out there and to see what is available on Kickstarter as an option. So that's my take, is more attention, more ideas, more people using Kickstarter and kind of changing the general landscape of like, oh, if I'm asking for money on this, I'm like, I got a tin cup in my hand and I'm, we're really struggling here to like, actually, no, this is just an opportunity to make something cool direct to consumer that has never been seen before.
And I love that point about Boom, because it does bring a level of legitimacy. It says, okay, this is safe. I can spend my money here because this is a legitimate, Boom is a legitimate publishing company that I've dealt with before, maybe, or I really love Power Rangers and I know I'm going to get what I want. And then I look and I say, hey, here's this great project that I never heard of before, but I know that Kickstarter's safe, so I can do this. And I think that that's something that a lot of people forget. And you said it earlier, it bears repeating, a rising tide raises all boats, right? And that is something that comics needs. There cannot be any type of gatekeeping about who can do what where, because ultimately onlookers don't know about any of that crap. They know, hey, this is something that I want to get behind. Shut up all the noise, right? This is comics. And I think that's the most important thing. So, Bryce, thank you so much for joining us. This has been an incredible conversation.
Guys, this was a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. I hope that the rest of the chat today goes great. I hope the rest of your holiday weekend goes great. And catch you guys in New York.
Well, is there anything you want to plug? Anything, how can people reach you if they want?
Oh, no, I mean, I was going to say, if you want to get in touch with me, you can email comics@kickstarter.com. You can also email me, b.gold@kickstarter.com. My is @_nicegold online if you want to get in touch via socials. Otherwise, I will catch you guys on Kickstarter. Good luck out there, and really excited to see what projects you want to bring to life in the near future.
All right, we'll be right back. We're going to say goodbye to Bryce, but you guys hang on tight. We'll be back in a moment. That was a fun conversation. For all of you who have had a lot of things to say about Kickstarter. Kickstarter's been a hot button conversation over especially the last few years. Hopefully we were able to get some good answers for you guys right from the horse's mouth.
Yep.
Bryce was amazing.
And dude, like, people who do Kickstarters are insane in the best way possible. Like, I talked to Mark Bouchard, and they've done multiple Kickstarters, and they talk about the stuff that they're working on during it. I'm like, how do you manage all of this? Like, dealing with printers, and you want maybe a printer that's a little more, small business oriented. And it's just like, wow, geez. So, shout out to anyone who does a Kickstarter, honestly.
The amount of just like sitting down at a table that must be necessary, just like, okay, we're going through this, we're going to paper quality, paper size, paper like just the small details must add up intensely.
Sure, dude. Look at all the stuff that we critique when we do Pals Pulls, right?
Yeah.
Like, and that's coming from the biggest publishers of comics on earth.
Yeah.
So it's tough for smaller creators. But it's good to know that there's someone in charge at Kickstarter, someone who is the head of comics, who actually has been in the trenches and knows, how hard it can be, and is there to support people who, want to make that work. I want to shout out everybody who stuck around for the conversation, everybody who listened to that. We love having guests on the show, and it's not always going to be a big Marvel or DC name, because there's more to comics than just that, right? And so I appreciate those of you who care about the industry enough to listen to those kinds of conversations, and hopefully you enjoyed it. And by the chat, it seems like you guys did. So appreciate the compliments. Flo Dameron, what's up? Saying great conversation. Dan Trudeau, great interview, pals. Thank you for your contribution, Dan, to that. With your question. Amin Perez, great convo. Thank you so much. Atomic Hound said, excellent interview as usual. Of course, I opened the Kickstarter app during it to check out what's new. Yes.
Yeah, do it.
Absolutely.
I did too. and I did, and I'm seeing like projects where you can get like a full-on hardcover for $30 for 200 pages,
Yeah,
and I'm
man.
like,
it's good deals.
Yeah.
It's good value, man.
Yeah. We have a lot more show to do. So we've got more fun. I think that convo was a lot of fun. We've got some fun conversations. We're gonna do a draft. We're gonna do it without any likes goal this week, just because when we're doing an interview with Bryce Gold from Kickstarter, we don't necessarily have the same live viewership. So we're gonna do it regardless because we love to do the draft.
Algorithm.
And we want to have some fun. But let's jump into the news, because there have been some things. Thanksgiving happened and it was great. Hopefully you all had a wonderful Thanksgiving. But even in the midst of that, we do have some things to talk about. So up front, we learned last week some big news about Fantastic Four. Some of it was rumor. But there was the biggest rumor was the Pedro Pascal thing. But adjacent to that was the possibility of a woman Silver Surfer.
That's right.
Yes. And so this week, that rumor has been doubled down on, because not only is at Daniel RPK, who is an insider who has broken news before, actually was the same person that broke the Pedro Pascal thing, says that Anya Taylor-Joy is currently in talks and being eyed by Marvel to play said female villain. And of course, Silver Surfer is not initially a heroic character, in the sense that Silver Surfer is the Herald of Galactus. Now, when you look at Anya Taylor-Joy, do you not see the potential for, if there's going to be a woman who's going to play Silver Surfer, does she not have that look?
She could be bald.
Yeah.
Maybe. Let's see it. Oh, who was from oh my god, Multiverse of Madness? Or not Multiverse of Madness, Doctor Strange.
Oh my god.
The Eternal,
yeah.
the whatchamacallit?
The ancient one.
The ancient one. Oh my god, who was the actress?
that was Tilda Swinton.
Yeah. Yes. Oh my god, yes. That's what I
I'm not feeling it. I like Anya Taylor-Joy a lot. I mean, she was Magic in that New Mutants movie, which people hate, and honestly, I kind of enjoyed that movie.
Oh, she was.
Yeah, she played Magic, and I think she's a good. I hate when they use good actors and actresses for a Marvel villain, because Marvel villains typically are one and done because Marvel refuses to actually invest in them.
Yeah.
So it's almost like a spent shell, just using this great up and coming actress for a really cold. Like I don't know. I still don't think it's Silver Surfer. But
Who else?
I threw some. I threw some on the slide. I think Nova, the Herald of Galactus, that actually is a woman. It's a more fire, themed and stuff. I think that's doable. Victorious might be an interesting way to bring in Latveria into this as well. I just feel like the whole Fantastic Four villain that's a woman could be the right rumor, but not necessarily that it has to be Silver Surfer. I don't know. Something doesn't smell right to me.
If there is going to be Galactus in any shape or form, right? Even if the villain is Silver Surfer and we don't get Galactus, like that's safe for a down the road thing, or forget Silver Surfer in this moment. If Galactus is involved, then Silver Surfer has to be. Like, I can't imagine a scenario where they would do, because they're only going to do it once, where they would do the big Galactus story and not have Silver Surfer be involved in that.
Maybe he's not the. I see your point, but maybe this is just different because it is going to be a female character. Maybe they have an opportunity to play with that, and then they do something related to something other related to Fantastic Four. Maybe he's part of Venom. He's gonna be. They're gonna be fighting. What are all the big space Venoms?
Did you just say Venom?
Yeah, doesn't he have Silver Surfer Black? I'm thinking of
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Hold on. Marco.
Yeah.
What company, what studio publishes Venom movies?
No, I know, but I'm saying let's say we combine. Let's say we start to combine universes. What if we save it for down the line?
So you're saying introduce Silver Surfer now, so eventually they can do a crossover Sony Silver Surfer Black Venom movie?
Uh-huh.
He's saying we use Silver Surfer down the road for that. Let me ask you this question, Mr. Marco. How the fuck does Silver Surfer get his powers?
You're asking questions, Sean.
This is an easy answer, Marco.
Tethered to Galactus, bro.
You're asking questions, Sean.
Here's my issue with this is that I think you can do I think you can do Galactus without doing Silver Surfer immediately, because the idea of having to introduce Galactus, Silver Surfer, that dynamic and that origin, and then introduce all of the Fantastic Four as well in a movie, like that's a lot. I think you could maybe introduce Galactus with the Herald. Herald gets defeated, and then we see a tease of Galactus going to Zenla or something. And then there's
another Herald.
Yeah, and then the idea of the Heralds is a thing, and then Silver Surfer can show up in another Guardians movie or something like that, doing a lot Annihilators movie. Does Marvel have the rights to like the Shi'ar and stuff now with the X-Men?
Sure,
probably. Sure.
I mean, they got a lot of space stuff, so I don't know. I just don't like it. I'm gonna be a hater on this. I love that Anya Taylor-Joy. Whenever I see her and I look into her eyes, or not really her actual eyes, it feels like I'm being hypnotized, like that snake from Jungle Book style.
Oh whoa!
Yeah. It's just
I do agree with the frustration of you get these big actors for just a one-time role. Like I understand the logic of they're gonna have to pay them consistently, and so that's why they're just getting the name for the one movie. But I do like the fact that sometimes, especially the Marvel universe has gotten us into the rhythm of these people can persist throughout the course of the universe. So it's a little more fun when you get a character or an actor that is big name to stick around, because I think I get a bit of more enjoyment out of seeing those things. Like Christian Bale for the villain of Thor, you just get him in one, and like that's it. He has such talent. I could have seen that persist.
But why are you guys? I don't understand this assumption that you've both just accepted that if Silver Surfer is played by Anya Taylor-Joy, that we'll only get it for one movie. They're not going to, if it's Silver Surfer, they're not going to dispatch of that character. That's a money character that we'll see definitely at least several times in the future. So if this is the role that they're getting her in, it's not because they only want her once. It's because we're going to see her way more often than just this.
Think?
Of course.
If it's Silver Surfer,
Surfer, Marco.
But I figure you do it with Galactus and you're done.
No. Silver Surfer is one of the more popular Marvel characters.
Yeah,
and woman, man, whatever they go with, there's no way that you take that character and do a one-off. Silver Surfer is one of the very few characters that I would say, do I think it'll happen? No, but could they get a movie? Yes. Especially with a mainstream actress playing that role. Could we get a movie based around that character? I think it's a lot more likely than most.
Silver Surfer is a huge character. I think just because he's kind of been dormant in the larger scheme of things in terms of Marvel movies, that maybe don't realize that now, but like I had a Silver Surfer toy as a kid, you know, like I wasn't even reading comics at the time. I was a child, but he was everywhere. He was on merch everywhere. He's pretty prominent in Universal Studios Islands of Adventure. There's a giant Silver Surfer there. Yeah, he's big. He's probably outside of Fantastic Four and Galactus. He's probably the biggest. He's like in that realm of stuff. So.
Yeah, I think let me answer this question. Manny says, I think you say this, but they've done one-offs with more important villains. But why? But Silver Surfer's not a villain. That's the thing that you guys are getting stuck on. Silver Surfer is a slave. Slaves get freed. Then Silver Surfer becomes a hero. You know what I'm saying? There's no world in my mind, at least, where Silver Surfer lives and dies as a villain in Marvel. That's not gonna happen.
You say Silver Surfer's a slave, gets freed, as I'm looking at this blonde white woman.
What do you want? Dude, Silver Surfer's a white dude on a surfboard. Okay? Like,
man, I mean, it's a shame that he died because I was a big fan, but like I always hear Lance Reddick's voice when I read Silver Surfer.
That's a good one.
He would have been great, but you know.
Damn, that just bummed me out, dude. I love Lance Reddick.
Yeah, big fan.
Hendrik Perry says, I considered Surfer more popular than Iron Man before MCU. 150% yes. No doubt about it.
Silver Surfer was bigger than all of the Avengers. Like,
absolutely. As a brand,
yep.
As a brand, Silver Surfer versus Avengers, Silver Surfer's bigger.
Chill.
Absolutely.
Not anymore. We're not saying now, Marco.
No.
Yeah.
Back then, yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Absolutely. So yeah, I just personally don't think that they're going to blow this. I'm going to be fully transparent. I'd rather that this not be what it is. I would rather that Silver Surfer just be some dude. And then, get Anya Taylor-Joy because she should be in the MCU. I like her as Magic, but get her for something. She got to be in the mix. But if this is the path, I personally like the choice of actress for the role, if this is what it has to be.
Amin Perez said make her a molecule woman instead of like gender bend molecule man. So cool. I don't know what podcast it was, but I saw it on TikTok. Iman Vellani was talking about the MCU, and she had a huge idea. She's like, I bet you. She's like, I don't actually know what's going to happen in Marvel Universe, but I feel like the Molecule Man could be a Kang variant, and then we can actually get Secret Wars, and then Doom shows up, and I'm like, you're a nerd, first of all, Iman.
She's
dork. Cool. But I was like, you know what? That ain't bad.
I didn't I didn't finish Loki, so please don't spoil this for me, chat. But I thought that Obi was going to be either a variant of Kang on the low or the Molecule Man.
Interesting.
That was what I had thought.
Is it out fully out already?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's finished. I gotta catch up on that. I'm playing with fire.
Yeah, seriously. Don't spoil me is the worst thing to say on the internet.
No, but we've got a good community. These people are not jerk offs.
You moderate comments. This has been you in the
our
ass
live
before.
chat.
Our
Our
live
live
chat
chat
is
is
good.
good people. Yeah.
Not the degenerates on the Discord.
Even the Discord's cool. The YouTube commenters that watch after the fact, majority of them are great, but there are some fucking nut jobs that comment in our videos. Absolutely. But that's how you know you made it, right?
Right.
Exactly. Hendrik Perry says we're all friends here.
That's
exactly. Right. Thank you for that. Superman Legacy has added some new friends to the cast. They led with the best friend of Superman, Jimmy Olsen.
Ooh.
Yes. James Gunn made the announcement this week, and of course, all the trades picked it up. That we do have casting for Jimmy Olsen and for Eve Teschmacher. So, in the case of Jimmy Olsen, we have Skylar Gisondo, and then Sarah Sampaio as Eve Teschmacher. So, the cast is shaping up, and then we also had the rumor. I don't think it's confirmed, but the rumor of Nicholas Hoult playing Lex Luthor.
Oh. Huh. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Skylar is he's the guy from The Bear?
No.
He's a different dude?
Yeah. No, the Skylar has been used on memes on the internet for like a year now. He's not been in too much, but he's got a face that is just like, oh, I recognize that dude.
Yeah, yeah.
There's a meme I actually put on the stream that was like somebody posted a picture of Skylar and it said he looks like he can do a crazy trick on the trampoline, you know. Which
so
I
his tech
get.
deck, it just show like look like it can grind on this, come down.
I literally don't care about Jimmy Olsen on any level. I have no connection to that character.
Oh.
I don't understand it. I don't get why people love him so much. But that's fine. It's not for me. Whatever. This actor is like, that's Jimmy Olsen from a visual standpoint. I don't know. I don't know his work, but boy, oh boy, does he look the part.
The freckles and all. On point. They did good casting.
And from what I think I've seen him in a couple of things. Like, this is gonna be fine. It'll be good. And I think Eve Teschmacher. I'm not familiar with the character, but I believe that was in the Jimmy Olsen mini series.
He was created for the Superman, the Richard Donner stuff, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she's one of Lex, like before Mercy, I think.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, first appearance was 1978 film Superman. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, cool. I think the Lex one, which I think, is that confirmed? I wasn't sure about that.
It's not.
Okay.
I don't. It says final talks.
Gotcha. Okay. I'm cool with that though. I think that's a good pick. Which is funny because Nicholas Hoult tested and did not get the role of both Batman and Superman. So I just think thematically he might have some built-up frustration in there that needs to come out in this Lex Luthor role.
They gave him the inspiration already.
Yeah.
I love that casting. I like Nicholas a lot as Beast. I thought he brought a lot to that role and was allowed to do a lot in those movies and show both sides of the character. So I do appreciate that. And then also, like, does it give me Superman vibes or Batman vibes? Absolutely not. But you shave his head, give him an edge. A Lex Luthor, sure. I like it. And then also, what do we get? A Superman and a Lex who are contemporaries, right? Who are about the same age. If you cast Nicholas Hoult and then that guy they cast for Superman, they're around the same age.
And I always felt that in the comics too. I think I always felt like Lex was in a way the rich kid compared to Clark's, rural upbringing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
City versus country.
I have a question, because I don't know what is canon. Like, I have always, like, I grew up watching Smallville. That was my biggest connection to Superman. So in my mind, they grew up together. But I don't know if that's canon. I've seen it in other places outside of Smallville. I just don't know if it's canon.
I think by New 52, and I'm thinking of Scott Snyder's Justice League run, which had a lot of Lex backstory in it.
Yeah.
It isn't, but they are around the same age.
Okay.
At least currently. I can guarantee you that was canon at one point, though. It's just Superman canon is confusing.
Because even in the last days of Lex Luthor, which we read, a few months back, in that, I know that's not canon, but in that they were also friends in their youth. So either way, Amin Perez says it's canon now after Doomsday Clock. Okay, so there you go. Either way, I think the casting's great. I like the idea that, and it makes sense for James Gunn to do this. These two are friends, or they were friends. Something happened. Lex was his jealousy, whatever it is. And now they're not friends anymore. And I'm sure that James Gunn will play off that as often as possible to tug on our heartstrings, because that's all he does. And I don't say that in a negative way. I'm excited for that.
To me, I almost don't like that dynamic. To me, that's a very Reed Doom dynamic. I think works for those two. But I like Lex viewing Superman as an alien. That I think you lose some of that when they grew up together.
Huh. That's an interesting point. My counter to that is the unearned betrayal that Lex would feel when he finds out that one of his childhood best friends growing up is actually some alien. Fair. And then you get all that, like, xenophobic, racist, whatever you want to say, like all of those energies. And Superman's perspective can be, wow, we used to love each other. How can this be how you feel about me just because of where I came from?
And then they kiss.
Hell
Hopefully
yeah.
Not. Okay, well.
Let's go. Oh, sorry, we're going down a different path.
To me, this is all great. James Gunn chatterboxing aside, I really am excited for this movie.
I mean, again, he's pulling from really good stuff. Looks like they have a handle on the casting. If the source material is, I don't think it's something to worry about. So yeah, all this is getting built up to be something great.
Well, I think Greg Capullo is working on something great over at Marvel Comics, because he made the announcement that he is officially back. So on Instagram, where Greg Capullo is pretty popular, something to the tune of 250,000 followers, Greg said, "I'm officially back at Marvel. I just signed my contract today. Let's go." Fantastic Four. And the image is a rough of Greg Capullo drawing Thing.
So for the stream, he posted one of Sue and Human Torch as well, and I've overlaid them together to try and piece this together.
Good job. That's cool.
But his thing is cool looking. There's a good craggliness to him.
Yeah, he has those like jagged lines.
Yeah, it's like slate rock. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And if he gets a good inker on top of him, it just helps accentuate those things. His pencils are fast and loose, but somebody to rein him in a little bit.
Who's his Batman one? Glapian?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wasn't that the colorist?
Or yeah. I don't even know that Greg has an inker. Because you're right. Glapion is the
colorist, right? Yeah. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah. So this is, I guess it's not technically a confirmation that he'll be working on Fantastic Four in like a an ongoing sense of the word. But Fantastic Four does feel like it's in a limbo state. And it's got a run that's going on right now. I think Ryan North is the writer, and that's I'm sure it's good. I haven't really checked into it too much. It's good. Okay.
Yeah, I like it a lot actually. Yeah, it's real one and done stuff.
Right. But that doesn't feel like, okay, this is a permanent thing or we see this ongoing for many years. I think Fantastic Four is due for a reshuffle. Don't know who the writer will be. Greg Capullo makes a lot of sense as that artist.
I don't know. I don't have issue with the selection and looking at the art. It looks good, but maybe I'm just so used to the idea of Capullo living in like this darker world because of Batman and some of this DC stuff that the brightness and maybe family orientation of Fantastic Four feels a little dissonant. But the art looks good. So I'm gonna need to wait to see like the full product to be excited about it. But out the gate, it looks like a bit of a style mismatch.
What do you think? He should be on like Wolverine?
I see that more. I see that more than than like a Fantastic Four, even or maybe even more than a Spider-Man. I see like those action oriented, a little more fighty books.
See, I don't.
Avengers.
Yeah, I don't mind him on Fantastic Four. I think it could be fine. I just don't see it happening on Fantastic Four because he's already posted about it. I see it more being like he starts off doing a series of variant covers. Ugh. And I think this is probably a Fantastic Four variant cover for something.
Sure.
Where he kind of does like he does all of the characters right off the bat, just in cool covers. And then I think he's probably secretly working on something at Marvel. I think maybe an X-Men relaunch could be huge.
Ooh.
Because having a huge established name on X-Men for a relaunch could be big. But I don't see him showing his cards in a series of quick, like a quick post on Instagram.
Right.
And also, I'm really liking that Ryan North one, so I don't want that to end. So
That X-Men idea though, that's good. I can see that.
yeah, how do you follow up Krakoa? You get a big team.
You get Gail Simone and Greg Capullo.
I don't hate that.
Yeah.
So Greg has said that he's older now, right? I think he's in his 60s, and his career is winding down. And so he only wants to work on projects that are genuinely exciting and flex, a muscle that he really hasn't been able to flex. It makes a lot of sense why he jumped ship from DC because he drew everybody. But it's not as if Greg Capullo didn't work at Marvel before. So there are certain things that he's already done, and it'll be interesting to see how willing he is to retread ground. I don't know his Marvel career, but I have a feeling he didn't do Fantastic Four. So I would welcome it, but I also agree with Tyler that he probably isn't, he's probably not like giving us this information via his Instagram.
Sure. Yeah. Gotta wait for the official announcement. Get that press release.
Yeah. Amin Perez says, I was a little burned out by his art on Death Metal, but happy he's back. Yeah, and I think he, like I said, I think he was probably burnt out on his art from DC. Like there's only so many devil horns you can draw, you can fit into covers of books and use the characters to, make that symbol out. Like you gotta flex. And I'm excited to see what Greg's gonna do at Marvel with different characters.
Yeah. The variety is going to be cool because he's been in with the DC stuff for so long now. Like I associate his art to New 52. Like I think of New 52 and he's one of just the creators that pops up. Oh yeah, that's right. 100%.
Going back 12 years.
Yeah.
13 years.
I think of Spawn.
Yeah,
Said me never on the show.
Right.
The what? I've never heard of that book.
Well, we love Greg Capullo's art. Lots of people love it. You won't be able to replicate it, though, through ChatGPT at least, because there are new policies in place that will not allow ChatGPT and others to replicate and copy, steal art styles. Bleeding Cool put out an article that the article wasn't written by ChatGPT, but the article came from Rich Johnston asking ChatGPT to make art in the style of X. And so here's an example. Quote, when asked to make a piece of art in the style of Jim Lee, quote, I'm unable to create images in the specific style of Jim Lee due to content policy restrictions. However, I can still generate an image of a caped crusader with a general comic book style. If you'd like, I can create an image of a superhero with features inspired by typical comic book art without replicating the style of a specific artist. Please let me know if you'd like me to proceed with this alternative.
Okay, all right, that's good.
So, when asked to describe the policy, quote, certainly, the part of your request that likely led to a violation of the content policy is the reference to Jim Lee, who was a contemporary artist. Our policy restricts creating images in the style of artists, creative professionals, or studios whose latest work was created after 1912. Jim Lee's work falls well within the cutoff date, well after this cutoff date, hence the inability to generate an image based on his style.
It's almost like a public domain type of.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good.
And it's consistent. When you look through this article, if you're so inclined, you can see images of characters that, might have been inspired by Wonder Woman or Iron Man. And it's just not that character. It looks like it maybe, but it's not quite that. And I'm so happy that this is the case.
Yeah, it's interesting because you're making the AI more ethical as opposed to getting rid of the AI as a solution. Whereas the solution should be make a more ethical AI. The inherency of it is not bad.
Now the AI artists, quote unquote, need to learn actual art terms.
That's not a bad thing. Better precision, better, I would say, expression at that point.
I mean, OpenAI's got a lot of problems in the background and behind the scenes right now. So at least something's happening that benefits artists on the user side. Marco, are you familiar with the whole scandal that's going on at the
Altman?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been keeping up on.
It's a mess over there. Their CEOs are like quitting.
Yeah, there's a lot going on, and Altman's been separate. I follow his stuff all separately because of his.
Yeah, I knew you would.
His effective altruism's work. So
I don't like any AI art, actually. Let me correct myself. What I tolerate is the stupid memes that people will make of the Kool-Aid Man and Spider-Man smoking weed in a bathroom together, for example. Because, that reminds me of 2000s t-shirts that people would wear that were way oversized of Bugs Bunny with bling and a blunt, it's funny.
That one of Bugs Bunny with the Lola on his lap and he's spanking her.
Yeah. Or the one that says if you see police, warn a brother, with Bugs Bunny.
Yeah, I know that.
I like that.
Yeah. So
all that shit's gone.
AI is only good for the lulls, as they used to say.
For the lulls.
I got no issue with that. But if you want to be an artist, if you want to be a creator, create, get dirty, use your hands, use your mind. You want to make memes, that's cool, but that's not art. I think this is the way forward. What is concerning, though, is that the Bing version of DALL-E 3 was asked, "Hey, can you make me a Caped Crusader, a Batman in the style of Jim Lee?" And it spat out exactly that.
Damn, it looks pretty
And
good.
that one's even better. That Dolly 3 seems even better than
Yeah.
like there's some of the stuff that Microsoft Penguin can do is insane.
Well, you have to, for the other OpenAI one, you have to pay for it. So it's a better fidelity if you pay for. I'm assuming they use the free versions for these.
Why?
Just because if you're gonna make an article about it, and I don't assume they're paying a yearly or monthly fee just to access it to make an article about this AI piece.
Well, what are you saying by saying that? Like what?
Oh, ChatGPT's let's say 5 is more effective and probably better, equally as good as probably DALL-E 3 or their 4th version if you have access to that stuff. So the quality and fidelity comes to like how much you're paying for access to a specific model.
Which they have to do to limit overload on the servers. Yeah.
Right.
Well, I mean, of course the DALL-E image looks good. It's fucking Jim Lee's art.
I mean that too.
It's like, of course, if ChatGPT was allowed to do this, it would look just as good because it's not about the AI, it's about the human being.
It does look good.
It's Jim Lee's art. Of course it fucking looks good. Go buy some Jim Lee art. What are you talking about?
Just post up this DALL-E 3 image. Damn it. I don't like the ears. I like longer ears on my Batman.
Yeah, and there are obvious problems that, I'm sure anyone could pick apart. But more steps are being taken to rein in and control the AI generated images. I hate to even say AI
Dude,
art.
I didn't even put that image of Batman on the slide because I thought that was actually the Jim Lee art as an example.
This Batman, yeah.
Holy shit.
Well,
That's not good.
It's getting to that point.
Yeah, no, that is scary.
But that's why we need the regulation.
Yeah.
That's why we need it. We need it for art, but we also need it for people. We need it to protect deep faking and things like that. But of course, our politicians are all, 80 something years old and don't know about any of this shit.
What is Wi-Fi?
Yeah, like you get someone like a Mark Zuckerberg. I'm sorry, I'm going off in a rant. You get someone like a Mark Zuckerberg on the hot seat in the Senate, and you're asking him questions about like, well, how do you friend someone on Facebook? Can you fucking get in the world?
Now, what is a poke? Then you have like Mitch McConnell literally just freezing because his brain's breaking. Like, just...
Oof.
How can you help me bypass the fact that Scarlett Johansson blocked me on Twitter? Can you help me with that?
I'm going to clip that sound, so you know. And I'm going to put that into my own AI that will use your voice, so that if Sean's never on the show, I can slot in an AI version of Sean.
We'll do we can get a whole video bot to portray him. That's it.
Well, that I'm in favor of.
Oh, okay.
If you want to AI me,
Yeah.
you can do that because we need a host. So if I die, or if whatever, then sure, yeah, I'll carry me on through AI. Please
don't like this Black Mirror episode. Don't like it,
dude. Get a body, right? Get a body, sit it right here.
Mm-hmm. You just get a body.
Green mask.
Just get a body. Yeah.
Just present me to the people. I love it.
I'll just call Bean.
Yeah.
My clone.
That's Sean's AI duplicate is just Bean.
Happy birthday, Atomic Hound, to your mother. That's awesome.
Mama Hound.
89 years old. That's a beautiful thing.
Kudos.
That's a beautiful thing. Hendrik Perry says, "What's Comics Pals without a soapbox to stand on?" You got that shit right.
I had a hypothetical. I had a thought experiment about AI and art.
Before you start, Marco,
Yeah.
when anyone says thought experiment, I immediately groan.
I know, right?
Why?
It's such a pretentious phrase, I feel.
All right, fair enough. I was trying to figure out is there a way that you can make a art valuable for the individual? If I'm a quadriplegic, sure I could learn to draw with my mouth, right? Let's say I don't have the time or energy or want to do so, but I want to create art. And if I were to go about it with two ways, hire an artist for me to dictate art to, or input it into ChatGPT or Bing's DALL-E, and I feed it information, but then I feed the artist information. Which one is more attributable to my art?
I think neither is art.
Whoa.
Well, hold on.
One is art. One
Right.
is art because one is drawn by a human being.
Sure, but neither is your art.
Yeah, neither is your art.
Yeah.
So then, but then if we take that, then that means I, as a potential quadriplegic,
Potential? What do you have planned?
Well, can never. But then I could never create art through this method.
I would say that because of everyone has their own limitations and things happening with them, the idea of art can be malleable, but you still need to create it yourself.
Can I also add that you started this by saying that the quadriplegic person just might not have the desire to do it, which is not different than me not having the desire to do it. Art is effort and expression, and if you're not willing to put an effort or express, then it's not art.
Yeah.
And on top of that, let's say, Marco, that you and I are working on a comic book, right? And you're the artist and I'm the writer, and I write the script and then you draw it. Who drew it?
The artist.
You.
Yeah, who's the artist?
I wrote it, right? But you drew it. I did not. I made art, but the art that I made is on the writing end of things. Art in a general sense, right? But not drawn images. Yeah. I did not do that part. I have no part in that outside of the script that I wrote that you then took and made into a lovely comic.
A writer can create art, but it doesn't make them an artist. It makes them a writer.
Right. Okay.
And writing is art, but it's not art.
Right.
Yeah.
In the way, okay, fair enough. All right. I was working on it.
I think the more curious question is, like, say Jim Lee has his own. Say that Jim Lee has a certain database of his own that is fed his own art. Can he use that tool to then just actually put out art going forward? Like if Jim Lee has, I think it is still not really that. Because he's the computer's creating it, not him.
That's shady as fuck.
But that's good.
I mean, I think the potential is there. I think the technology isn't, because you need so much computing power to do this. Unless they start privatizing servers that you can then purchase, then we'll see. But I think that is something we need to be cognizant of possibly happening down the line.
But in that scenario, he could draw it. He just didn't want to.
Yeah, he's just lazy at that point.
But see, my thing is that I feel like artists, right? And Jim Lee theoretically could do that, right? But my thing is that artists want to draw. They're excited to draw. They're passionate about it. Obviously, Jim Lee has a lot of other irons on the fire. But yes, okay. Would it be great for DC to have Jim Lee on an ongoing book? And it's actually not Jim Lee, it's AI, so he can focus on what he's got to do while this AI can spit out, new issues of Batman. Would it benefit DC for that to be possible? Yes. But we all know that at some point, someone's going to look at that and go, wait a second, this ain't right. Something is wrong here. And that's when the dominoes all fall. That's when the house of cards falls. If we can't tell the difference, then that's the end, my friends. That's the end.
I don't know.
I mean, it is. If someone gets away with that at the caliber of a Jim Lee and you literally can't tell the difference, then how can you ever trust that what you were looking at is a real image drawn by the individual
Oh.
in question.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to 100%. Yeah.
That's game over.
Yeah. Especially even if it's coming from the artist, then it's like, okay, then, well,
Because then your issue of consent is gone because the consent is given.
right.
The issue of consent is gone, but I didn't consent to viewing that. I want art that was created and crafted by the creators. The same way I don't want to read a comic book that's AI with an AI generated script. I'm not interested in that. I don't want to go to a movie and watch a movie where the script was written by AI. I just don't. I just don't. I know, and it's harder with art, but on the writing side of things, I know because it's not going to have heart. It just can't. How could it? It's not going to have the human element that makes a script.
That's crazy to me though, because a human is having a process in the experience, regardless of the tool that is outputting.
We just have a fundamental disagreement on what creation is then. Because like when I use a K-cup to make a coffee, I'm not brewing, you know, I'm not brewing that coffee. I'm making a coffee. A coffee is coming out, but the machine is doing it all.
But you're making coffee.
Sure,
You
and I
take
drink
the
it, and it's shittier than most coffee because it's going through that process.
But the thing with that though is that's like that's a function that's just irrelevant. Like anyone on Earth can say I'm thirsty and go put a coffee on, right? You just do it. You're not looking for any adulation or anything like that. A big part of the problem is that so many of these people want to have their cake and eat it too. They want to be celebrated or be able to make art, but they don't actually want to put in any effort to make art. They don't want to learn. They don't want to go to school. They don't want to put the effort in. So why do you deserve anything if you're not willing to put in effort to get it?
I don't even know if it's a thing of dessert. If you're just creating for the sake of creating, then there is no point at which you can create in that sense within that purview.
Well, people, I'm not saying you, I guess, but people think that AI generated images should be viewed on the same scale as art that's crafted, right? So if you think that, then that means that you think you deserve to be on that same pedestal. And I say no.
I'm waiting for the next performance artist to generate AI art and pass it off as actual art. Gets into a gallery, but the actual art is the performance of doing that and getting away with it.
Oh, that's a good idea.
All right, go become a performance artist then, Marco. See you at the
No,
MoMA.
I'm gonna start with my collaging.
Oh yeah, you have started actually.
I have started.
C.W. Gordon, creating versus producing, generating. I love that. A producer on a film, you know, might have notes, right? They might have even come up with the idea. Are they the writer? No. Will they receive a writer credit? No. No matter what they do, unless they put pen to paper or the equivalent, they didn't write. And that's how that works. They produced, they were part of a team, but they didn't write. Amin Perez says, and what about scripting? I create a plot and the AI fills the details and the dialogue. Can AI be a tool for writers? So I think that, and I say this as a person who writes. I'm not trying to, I write. I would feel personally like there's no way that I could express what I have to say if that's being filtered through anything else, but certainly not filtered through AI. Because AI can't know me. I can't talk to AI about my life experience and the totality of everything that has led to what it is that I have to say in this moment. And AI is going to understand how to deliver that in a way that makes you feel what I'm saying, having never met me or interacted with me in a way that allows you to understand me. That's something that can only happen human to human. That's the magic that Grant Morrison talks about. Only humans can do that.
Yeah, that's not. It's science fiction to think that we can digitize our brain patterns and brain activity and all our memories and stuff. So unless that's doable, yeah, it's still being filtered through something, and you're losing a magical part of it in the process of doing that.
I see Marco's disagreeing eyes. That's what I see. Go ahead, last point, and then we'll move on to the draft.
No, last point is I think you guys are making strong points, and I still feel like there's something squishy in that, where creating, producing, generating are variations of each other. I just don't have the I don't know the right language or rationale yet. Like that's still the thing that I'm stuck on it. But I don't disagree with you guys are saying.
Marco, you're so before the show started, Marco told us he's starting to do collaging, using the Onslaught books he had to read. So Marco is defacing comic books. But think about the creation of that, Marco. You are cutting out individual things, and each slight angle that you cut things at is deliberate, whether you realize it or not. Creating that compared to saying, all right, throw in a couple prompts in a computer that says, create me a collage using these pages from Onslaught. The actual human element's gone. That your hand going in and physically cutting out things. And I think you lose something there in the process.
But see, I'm living like my body and mind are separate. This body is still that tool. It's just in this example, the AI is still said tool. My mind is the human experience that is interacting with any other tool, and that's where I get hung up on. It is a tool to provide output, and my input is the art, irrespective of the output.
I see what you immediately said was my body and mind are separate, and I think that's where we made. That's the core, I think, of where your argument comes from. Your body is a tool that your mind uses.
Right.
So whatever tools your body are using, whether it's like a computer keyboard or scissors.
Extension.
Man,
that's philosophical. Yeah.
I would love to talk, to go the philosophical route and discuss your thoughts on free will. Because
I have tough thoughts on free will, bro.
If you believe that, then you must really believe in free will. Because if you don't believe in free will, then how the hell can you say that your body's a tool when you don't control your own actions? Forget it. Let's get out of this. Let's get out of this because this is endless. Catherine says, I think using it to spark ideas for a script is interesting, to throw some ideas out and bounce around, not write my entire story for me. Yes, absolutely. There's nothing wrong with using AI to bounce ideas off of, but I think that, when you take that and then you make it your own, right? Like that's like if I used AI, for example, to think of topics for the show, right? For this podcast, let's say that I did that. Okay, so the ideas weren't mine. The ideas came from the AI. But what we do here is what makes that magic, if you want to call it that, just for the sake of this conversation, right? Our way of talking about what it is that is being presented. I don't write the articles that we read from. Those are not ours. But we make it ours. We repurpose it through these conversations or the unique angles that we might take. But if all of us were replaced by AI and the idea came from AI, would you still like the show? Like, would the AI know to bust on Marco at certain times because it's going to be funny? You know what I'm saying? Like, no, it wouldn't. Would it be able to bring Tyler's brand of humor? No. Not in that way that feels
Maybe
authentic.
We should replace me with AI then.
Because go ahead.
They've been using AI on me for the past 3 years. So
yeah, when you said AI bust on Marco, he got excited there for a second.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you. I'm trying. I don't think it's. I don't think the guys are wrong. I think I haven't found the right question for it.
All right. Well, let's dive into the non-AI generated draft idea, which this week is a non-superpowered hero draft. Not all heroes wear capes. Not all heroes have powers. And those are the heroes that we are celebrating today. Those heroes who have to kick, punch, and jump their way through trouble. And they do it without any help from a super soldier serum or being an alien or anything like that. Right away, I'm establishing a caveat.
Okay.
Each one of us, we're going to do 5 because I think we do 5. Each one of us is only allowed one member of the Bat family.
Okay.
Okay.
Good.
Just so that this doesn't become a Bat Fest. One each.
Yeah. I was literally going to be my question. Just like, we'll wait.
So you guys know the drill. I will roll my handy dandy dice. That did me no favors last night at card game night.
Damn.
Yeah, I know, right? Hopefully I'll have better luck here. And we will go over the draft. Who wins is determined by you guys. I will now roll first for Marco.
Give it to me, baby.
That's a 6.
Ooh. Good.
Now for Tyler, that is an 8.
Oh.
And for me, that is a 3.
Yikes.
So the order will be Tyler, Marco, myself. My dice still hate me. I'm trying to figure out what I did wrong, but whatever.
As my cats are fighting, 1 second. Just give me Batman. I'm gonna go break up this fight real quick.
There you go.
Yeah.
Batman it is.
Give me Jimmy Olsen.
Okay. All right. I like it. Give me Nightwing.
Oh, Nightwing's good.
Nightwing. And this is a weird one. I actually don't know the answer. So right now, Shang-Chi in the comics has the 10 rings. But before all that, wasn't he just a martial arts guy? Does he have powers?
He doesn't have powers. I don't even think with the 10 rings he has powers. It's just it's an object.
But don't the 10 rings empower him?
Right. Yeah. That doesn't, like, Tony Stark would not be an answer to this.
Oh,
because
damn it. You picked the
Tony
next
Stark
one.
is Iron Man.
Right.
Okay.
So I would say Shang-Chi, but without the 10 rings. Just Shang-Chi, the way he was before, with no powers.
I think that's fine.
Make that argument, But then you can make that argument about Iron Man before he put on the suit.
Which
But
is
he
then
wasn't a
he's
hero
just a
before
rich
he
dude.
put
Yeah.
on the suit. Shang-Chi's the 10 rings is from the movies. I'm talking about,
Okay.
Deadly Hands of
gotcha.
Kung Fu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see. Okay.
And his power was just that his father was Fu Manchu. But yeah.
All right, so Marco, you're up.
Wildcat.
Ooh.
There we go. That's a good one.
By the way, should we do villains? Do you guys
I think we can throw
need...
villains in here. That's
all right,
fine.
let's
yeah,
that's
I'm
cool.
Sure.
with
Why
that.
not? Yeah. Can't think of any, but.
All right, Lex Luthor.
That's good.
All right.
And super intelligence is a power, right?
So then I guess Tony would have to count. If we're going to count Lex, then Tony would have to
Yeah,
count.
because Lex has a suit too.
Because
Because I think Tony counts. He's just a really smart guy.
But he's not just a really smart guy. Like Tony Stark in a fight as the man is worth nothing without Iron Man. He could be the guy in the chair, I guess.
Yeah.
But he's a super genius.
Yeah, but what's he doing against Thanos without the Iron Man suit?
What is super genius? Is it a genetic mutation? Is it, cosmic rays? Like, I would say Reed Richards pre-cosmic rays would have counted because he wouldn't have stretchy powers, but he's just really smart.
But he didn't, right. And also he didn't exist before he had powers in the sense that he wasn't a comic book character. Neither was Tony Stark. Lex, I guess, is different because Lex he doesn't have powers and he's existed without the suit, Yeah. So I'll say Lex is valid.
Okay.
And then you have another one.
Oh, I have another one. Okay. Give me. I'll take Lois Lane, actually.
Oh, that's good.
No argument on that one.
I'm gonna do Abby Arcane.
She's an avatar of like death now, isn't she?
But she's been a helper.
So like
assist.
pre New 52 Abby Arcane.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Her dad was one of the powers.
Right.
I'm gonna draft Kingpin.
Ooh, that's a good one.
That's good.
And got my Bat character. I'm gonna go with Moon Girl.
Yeah. Third or fourth smartest in the MCU?
Yep. Does she come with her Devil Dino? That's what I'm talking about. I need that Devil Dino.
I mean, he doesn't have superpowers. He's just a dinosaur.
That's fucking
Yeah.
true. You got a
And-
point there.
Yeah.
And I don't think they like the original Moon Boy and Devil Dinosaur had like a magical mind connection. I don't think Lunella and Devil Dinosaur do. I think she just has tech for it. Okay.
J. Jonah Jameson.
All right.
Yes.
Triple J.
Man, Dan just outed me. Give me Kate Bishop, Hawkeye.
Nice.
There you go.
And then I get one more, right?
Yeah, you're last up.
Nick Fury.
Oh, that's good. My bat pick is Damian Wayne.
Nice.
You picked the worst one.
The best one.
I'm gonna draft Devil Dinosaur. Screw it.
Why is he red though?
Because he's cool as hell. That's why.
Watch me look it up, and he's like, he's an inhuman dinosaur.
Better not be. I got a backup pick, but better not be. Marco, you've got. Oh no, you're done.
No, I'm done. Yeah.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, we're
That's it.
done.
Yeah, we're
Wow. Okay. So Tyler will tell me if I need my backup pick.
You do. Devil
I do.
Dinosaur has superhuman strength.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Sorry.
So that's okay. Tyler, let me ask you a question now. Which Nick Fury did you draft?
Oh, I'm picking original Nick Fury. You can get his son.
All right. So you went with white Nick. I'm going with black Nick. And in my note, I'm typing Nick Fury black. And for you, it's Nick Fury white. So we're getting into Pokemon territory.
Lunella's good too.
I
I just double checked. She has genius level intellect. I think that's what we're talking about here. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
right, and that's I think in real life that's a superpower, but in the comics it's not. So Tyler got Batman, Lex Luthor, Lois Lane, Kate Bishop, and Nick Fury White. Marco got Jimmy Olsen, Wildcat, Abby Arcane, Triple J, J. Jonah Jameson, and Damian Wayne. And I drafted Nightwing, Shang-Chi, Kingpin, Moon Girl, and Nick Fury Black. I don't know why Kingpin's there, but he's got a lot of money. So hopefully he can help out.
Big suits.
Big
old
suits.
suits.
Big
People are
robots.
questioning the fact that Devil Dinosaur is considered superhuman strength. What I was reading was that like he's like impenetrable too. Like he's beefier than most dinosaurs. He's super dino strength, I guess, is the way it should have been.
In the chat, I mean, Paris also a bear has superhuman strength.
That's true. Yeah.
Fair.
That's fair. I
And
mean, I guess like there's gorillas, right? And then there's Gorilla Grodd,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So I'll accept it. Although I did want a big ass dino on my team. But
Oh, this is good. C.W. Gordon, Jim Gordon, James Gordon, James Gordon Jr.,
Oh, I don't want him.
Adam Strange, specifically the War Criminal version, Black
Adam
Cat,
Strange,
and
what
Booster Gold.
whoa, Black Cat.
She have
You
powers?
got luck.
She does have powers, yeah. She has luck powers, yeah.
Oh.
Newsroom, thank you for the sub on YouTube. Appreciate it.
Oh, thank you so much. Appreciate you. Who won the draft? Go ahead and vote. If you're watching on YouTube live, you can vote to determine who won. What determines a win is completely individual in the sense that there are no rules for you to think about. So whoever's team you like the most is the winner in your heart, and that's who you vote for. Marowak Escuro said Kite Man. Yeah, hell yeah. I'm sure if Kale were here, Kite Man would have gotten drafted.
Ooh, Kale Speaks would have been some like JSA people.
He would have said Snapper Car immediately.
Who the hell is that?
Exactly. He was like the Justice League's Jimmy Olsen.
Oh.
Early Rick Jones might have worked too before he became A-Bomb. Yeah.
Right. Yep. Bucky.
Oh, Bucky. Yeah.
He's got a fake arm.
Doesn't he have some kind of serum in him that the Soviets put in him?
No, that's why he said Bucky, not
Oh,
Winter Soldier.
Winter Soldier. Okay.
Well, yeah, I guess Winter Soldier would be enhanced, but Bucky Barnes.
Yeah, Bucky would count.
Um,
Pretty good.
so
Amanda Waller.
Amanda Waller, yeah. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I really hope you enjoyed the conversation that we had with Bryce, and I encourage anyone who loves comics on a deep level that goes a little bit beyond, just typical Marvel and DC stuff to really think about some of the stuff that we discussed in that interview, and to check out Kickstarter. If you've never backed a book on Kickstarter before, maybe now would be a good time to do that. And I know it can be scary and it can be daunting on the end of the purchaser, the backer, on the backer end. But I'll say this: most of the time, creators, a large majority of the time, creators are not out to screw you over. They want you to get their books. They want their creations out into the world. So, if you find a creator who has a few successful Kickstarters under their belt and you like what they're putting out there, chances are if you back it and it fulfills, you will get what you paid for. So, it's definitely worthwhile to check out Kickstarter and consider backing some projects. While you're in the spirit of considering and backing, how about you back your boys? We're on patreon.com/thecomicspals. They don't have a Kickstarter section for what we do over here. But that's okay, because you guys show your love and support to us every single week, and we appreciate it very much. So thank you to our patrons. Thank you as well to our channel members who have been fantastic in supporting us. It's still a new initiative, but we've got a lot of videos behind the paywall and more to come. Some of those will be shuffling out. So you will get a taste of what we've been putting, on the channel membership side of things. And you will be able to see that, we've got a lot of stuff cooking right now. A lot of stuff. So thank you for checking that stuff out. Watch this show live every single Saturday at 10:15 a.m. Eastern. And Thursdays at 6 p.m. Eastern for Pals Polls, vote in the listener pick poll, which is up right now. It's up right now. It's been hotly contested.
That's right, baby.
As of what I see right this moment, Luke Cage, Gang War, and The Flash #3 are tied, and that's a fucking shame.
Yes.
Luke Cage should definitely be winning. But
thank you to everybody who wanted to put their support out for The Flash, the right book to listen to and want to read this week. Because damn well Sean didn't put it on the list because he wanted to not read it, and I want to. I'm making my campaign
Don't credit your campaign. We got a retweet from Mike Diodato. That's the reason why we're gonna.
I'd like to credit my efforts undubitably, solely.
Marco, I was gonna let that slide. But on Pals Polls this week, we're gonna be reading Titans Beast World. Do you fucking think that I want to read Titans Beast World? Do you think that I wanted to sit through 6 issues of Avengers? No, I didn't. Do you think I even wanted to read 2 issues of The Flash? No, I didn't. I didn't.
And what a shame that this week's going to be Beast Wars and Flash for you, huh?
That would suck. But at least I get to read Kaya, which is way better than The Flash, and you should be reading. What is the result of the poll? Hit us with that.
Let's go. Hitting end poll.
Oh,
a tie.
Wow, a tie. So Tyler and I tied at 42% of the vote, and Marco coming in with a slim 14% of the vote.
And Kale with 0.
Even
Kale, the perennial loser. With 0% of the vote. Thank you for voting. Appreciate it. Let's hit some plugs before we get out of here. Marco.
Thank you so much for listening to another episode of The Comics Pals. You can follow me at Mr. Marco Animoto. I'm not going to do that. And come talk to me about, Swamp Thing stuff. anime, One Piece. Thank you very much.
You can find me slaving away at my stove and oven today as I bake, or on X, Instagram, Threads at the Tyler Olsen.
You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram only at Sean Soapbox. I'll be watching Survivor Series tonight, so that should be a lot of fun. Thank you so much for listening. We appreciate you. We love you. Till next time, take care, guys.
See you next week. I've never done that before. Like that felt weird. All right.